This is how I have saved over $10,000 in the last 4 months. I work at a bank and I'm studying economics and finance at university. I decided to set this goal of $10,000 to help build myself a larger emergency fund and save whilst interest rates are high, to make as much as I can in interest whilst I save for my first home and a European vacation in 2024. The first step was to make a budget. If you want to improve your financial situation and make a real change, you'll need to get an understanding of your finances. A budget shouldn't be restricting, but yes, it should limit unnecessary spending and work towards building good financial habits. For myself, I set out a clear goal of breaking down each paycheck. First, to save $10,000 in 4 months, you need to save over $2,500 a month, which works out to be roughly 17 weeks in total, meaning I had to save just under $600 a week. This was a challenge for myself, but it was achievable. In terms of crediting my money to my savings, I am paid fortnightly, so I sent a set amount each fortnight, which was $700 to my savings, and I sent $500 to my investment portfolio. I've been investing in the stock market for 2 years now and track it on my channel as my portfolio progression grows, whilst I continue to learn more about investing in finance. The budget of $1,200 each fortnight left me with enough to cover my expenses, as such as my rent, food and car, but it meant I had less disposable income to spend on luxuries. I also don't have any loans or repayments to make. I own my car out and my phone, so all I pay for is insurance and my phone plan. Having a stable source of income that you can rely on makes making a budget and saving much easier. As someone who has worked casual positions, creating and staying true to a budget becomes more difficult. So what I did when I was in this position was to work off my minimum fortnightly income and not cut back on all my expenses, but still have a reasonable budget, meaning any extra disposable income I received went straight to my stock portfolio, since I already had incorporated in the minimum budget a rational amount for myself to spend on non-essential purchases. You will hear people talk about the importance of increasing your earning potential, and this is true, but it's not just a quick fix to your money problems. Increasing your earning potential for most people will require you to invest in yourself by possibly spending time furthering your education, getting more experience, or creating your own goods or services. One way I've increased my income, even by a small amount, is by doing something as simple as researching and finding the highest interest rate savings accounts for my situation and moving my savings there. Whilst interest rates are high at the moment, it is important you review your banking and your savings, whether that is finding a high yield savings account or even going as far as refinancing your home loan to save yourself money. I managed to get a savings account that offered me 5.15% per annum, which increased my monthly interest payments on money I had just sitting there. The more money you have sitting in your accounts and investments, the more you can also see the power of compound interest in the long term. So you shouldn't wait to start your snowball before you roll it down the hill. Even with a well-planned budget and a stable income, you will not save and hit your financial goals without strong habits. You have probably had the thought of, if I just earned X amount more a year and I got a salary increase at work, I would be much better with my finances and I would be budgeting and saving. Yes, it is true that people do benefit from increasing their earnings potential, but if you don't stick strongly to your habits, you, like many others and myself at times, will fall into the trap of lifestyle inflation. Again, as stated earlier, a budget should not restrict, but it should limit unnecessary spending, and just because you now have more disposable income doesn't mean you should just burn through it. I don't find myself online shopping or in honest really spending money on much unnecessary purchases, but when I do buy items, I will admit I splurge on quality products that will last a long time, and as well before my decision to make this goal of saving $10,000, I had already been investing and saving for basically 2 years. This was at a lower salary and at times when I was not so financially stable. This meant the adjustment to reaching my goal in limited time frame was not a large change for my day-to-day spending and financial lifestyle. I found from my personal experience, the longer I continue my habits, the easier they've become. I've always enjoyed saving and tracking my finances, and since the second half of last year, I've been tracking my net worth each month and tracking my progression, including my bank account balances, all my investment portfolios, and so on. This is something I will likely share in the future on this channel, but I found it to before I started tracking my finances. I knew I was saving, but I never knew the exact amount, and since I've started getting on top of things, the amount I've been saving has been steadily increasing and becoming more diversified. Finally, track your progression regularly to see how you're going. You can also use spreadsheets and budgeting apps to keep on track of your expenses and savings, and celebrate your achievements along the way. This helps stay motivated to reach your goals, whether that is saving $100, $1,000, or $10,000, in whatever time frame is realistic for you. Celebrating my milestones helped encourage me and made me feel better that saving this money and not spending it in the short-term satisfaction will result in a more long-term happiness. This was just a quick summary of how I've saved up $10,000 in the last 4 months, as I continue to save towards my goal of increasing my emergency fund, buying a first house, and traveling through Europe. Share your savings goals and how you are tracking, and what you are saving for.